tonight convene this regularly scheduled meeting of the Watertown Board of Education at 7 p.m. Please rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Kathy.
Sherry Martino, Cindy Phelan. Here. Karen Hosking. Here. Christine Peressa. Here. Jason Malaguti.
Here.
Green Bellica.
Here.
Mindy Davidson. Here. Elizabeth Lawton. Rich McGuire.
Here. Board members should have received the meeting packet, which includes the minutes from our meeting dated June 8th. Do board members have any questions regarding the minutes? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting from June 8th, 2026 as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to item E, superintendent's recommendations for report and updates.
Okay, good evening, Board of Education members. Hope everyone's well tonight. I'd like to start just with a comment about how wonderful both the Swift and the Watertown High School graduations were. We couldn't have asked for better weather. The speakers were all amazing, in particular the kid speakers amazed me with the poise that they have. Next year I don't want to follow any of them. I'd like to go first. I've already put that request in. But they were really both very, very lovely, I thought. So I just wanted to share that occurred. And I only have one update today. One of the things I am still getting some questions about, obviously related to the budget referendum being tomorrow, are some questions about special education and some of the shifts in the department and the reductions. So what I have for board members this evening is a page that just unpacks all of the shifts for the most part in special education this year. So I think it's important to mention that oftentimes special education is a bit of a moving target. In other words, in any given year things could change rapidly, and so we have to adapt to what the student needs are. So it's not, we've had some, not only have we had some reductions, we've had some additions as well this year. I think the most important thing to just assure everyone is that despite the proposed reductions, we will be in compliance with all IEPs. That is something that we can say for sure. I do think it's important, however, to recognize that the reductions that we have in special education this particular budget season do come with some risk. So if at any point student enrollment increases, we get a new student, or if some of our existing students require additional services, at that point, we 100% will be obligated to add as needed, both certified and non-certified staff. So that, I think, in and of itself is important to mention. And then just kind of going through one more time in a little bit of a different format, some of the reductions and the additions, and sometimes they're related to each other. So if you look at the first one in your paper, is the Watertown Alternative Academy. We reduced a SPED teacher at the Alternative Academy, and we've supplanted instead with a general education teacher. We have a general education teacher that has multiple certifications. She has an English and a social studies certification. So by putting a general education teacher at the WAA, she'll be able to teach those two core content areas, and then two teachers will come over in the course of the day. A math and a science teacher will come over from the high school to teach at the WAA. It is a program improvement, but it's also a requirement where kids really need to be learning core instruction from core content teachers. So if there are students at the WAA that require IEP services, there are two special education teachers just adjacent in the WTA, and those two teachers would absorb any IEP hours for students that might be at the WAA. So you can see there that's really sort of a wash. The second position that I've had some questions about is the Tiger Den position. And so I can, try to clarify that a little bit. So this year in Tiger Den, we have had a posting essentially all year that we've been unable to fill. We've recast the net over and over again. So currently there's one teacher in Tiger Den, and when we couldn't obtain a second certified teacher in that space, we increased the BCBA hours. So the BCBA works in tandem with the special education teacher in that room to service the students, along with other support staff that push into that space. So moving into next year, we tried to put the position back in hopes of freeing up that BCBA to do some other consulting. But with the budget reductions, that there was not a person in that role, so that was one that we were able to reduce, and there's really enrollment, there's only one additional student in that space. So the model that we had this year worked. Kids got their IUP hours, so we're just replicating that model this year. So that is the Tiger Den position. The other one I've been getting questions about is the John Trumbull Primary School co-teacher. As the board knows, we've been trying very hard to increase our co-teaching model across the district in hopes of bringing this to a stronger point at John Trumbull. We had a co-teacher in the budget. So our initial goal was to expand co-teaching with needing to reduce, again, this is not a person, it's a position. So what will happen is that we'll use the traditional model that we've been using at John Trumbull to service those students versus the co-teaching model. And again, we will still be compliant with IEPs and meeting FAPE, certainly. It's just the difference between two different modes of delivering instruction to children. And then a lot of questions about the 5 special education paraeducators. I think it's important to note that they're not all in one place. We're not going to go to John Trumbull and take 5 special ed paras out of John Trumbull. What we did try to do this year was find some efficiencies in our staffing through strategic placement of students. So by proactively placing students together that have like needs, they can share para support, which is really what the design is supposed to be in the first place, versus an inefficient way of spreading kids with like needs all over the place and then maxing out the number of paraeducators you need. So it was really just a very strategic decision to place students in either sections or in classes that have similar needs so that that para support can be shared. And again, that's not concentrated in any one school. And those 5 sped paraeducators, we were able to capture through attrition, through people that left our district. And then finally, this is, I think, is the one that people are probably the most familiar with. We decided to no longer partner with Aspire in Living and Learning. This has been something we've been working on over the course of a couple of years now, where we've been trying to build our own internal capacity. It's very costly to partner for contracted services, and I don't know that the quality at this point in our relationship is such that we couldn't deliver equivalent, if not better, quality programming through our own people. So as a result, you can see we've added an ASD classroom at John Trumbull, added ASD classroom at Swift, and to service those 2 classrooms, we've added a BCBA, our own BCBA, and 10 BCBA As, and I believe, Jen, we've almost filled all of those at this juncture.
We're currently at 9.
We're currently at 9. Because I know that that was a concern as well. Like, would we be able to fill those positions? And we are very fortunate. We've had some really high quality people that have come forward to serve in those roles. So we're excited about that move because I think that we're very capable as a district of providing exceptional instruction to our kids on our own 2 feet. So I don't know if the board has any additional questions about either the reductions, the additions, or any other shifts, but I'm happy to answer.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Do I have to put this on?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, there you go. Thank you. This is all new to me. I just want to say thank you for clarifying this because there's been a plethora of questions about this, and on face value, it looks like the district isn't doing right by our special education students, which I know in my heart is farthest from the truth. But the clarity of this and really digging in to make people understand exactly where the moves are being made, and of course, if the needs arise, we're going to meet those needs because
100%.
we want to and we have to. So I just want to say thank you for clarifying this very much.
My pleasure.
Any other questions, Superintendent? Anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. I do think that, as you all know, special education is near and dear to my heart. And I will always do right by our students. It's just a tough budget season, so then you have to make some choices. So.
For sure. Thank you to you and your team for all your hard work. Moving on on to item F, monthly finance report. Mrs. Schuba.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight I'll be reporting the finance report as of May 31st, 2026, and before we know it, at the end of this week, we'll be closing out the year. Some good news. So as of May 31st, 2026, the district is reporting an overall variance of only approximately $49,000. This is obviously less than 0.1% and is way down from last month's number of $387,000. This represents a substantial improvement from the prior month and effectively places the district at a break-even heading into the final month of the fiscal year. I'm pleased to report that the majority of this makeup in the balance was due to the second excess cost grant payment was received and applied during May, significantly improving our financial position and helping to offset the negative variance reported in the prior month. So as I've done in prior months, I'll just go touch base on some of the subject areas that have the variances. So under salaries and benefits, we still have an overall variance of 1.81%. Employee benefits continue to reflect the full year encumbrance methodology implemented earlier this spring and represents 4.2% of the negative balance on that line. I would like to point out, just for record's sake, that the majority of that is by benefits. The majority of that overages is coming from workers' comp claims and also from the pension. And the pension, we actually had to carry over a balance from the prior year because we had not received the pension bill in time to pay it in full. Last year we had encumbered a certain amount, but it wasn't enough. So part of that overage was carried over into this year. So that's a good chunk of more than half of what the overage is in this employee benefit line. Non-certified salaries are at a negative 4.16 and just continue to reflect staffing, coverage needs, overtime, substitute coverage, and other personnel-related fluctuations throughout the year. Certified staff remains essentially on budget. Under purchase services, legal counsel is coming in at a negative, continues to exceed the original budget amount allocation. This is due to ongoing and unanticipated legal matters throughout the fiscal year. We still have some open matters, and I don't want to close out POs when I know that there are additional costs that really should hit the books this year. They're incurred this year, so we will be carrying over those encumbrances to next year to make sure that we can close the loop on some of those issues. Under facilities, repairs and maintenance continue to experience a higher than budgeted expenditure due to just regular facility repair needs. Telephone and software remains over budget due to technology-related expenditures and software costs exceeding the original budget allocation. Utilities have improved and are now operating essentially at budget. Every month that we get a bill, obviously I'm able to tie it in, and we've been actually trying to go online to get our bill a little sooner to make sure that we're not carrying any amounts that we shouldn't. Next is contracted services. Property and liability insurance remains slightly over budget. Tuition has improved significantly from earlier in the year and is now only slightly over budget, as is transportation, which is now operating as a positive variance. These are our two main topic areas that are always hot and volatile, and for the majority of the year we're always reporting it as an overage, and it is because when we receive excess cost, that is the bulk of what offsets the SPED transportation and SPED out-of-district tuition as we applied specifically to the SPED lines. So we don't tend to see the number come down until this time of year, but it's always a big relief when we do get that excess cost grant and are able to hit the line. Lastly, custodial supplies remains over budget and continue to reflect higher than anticipated supply usage and pricing measures. We've discussed the custodial maintenance supplies, everything from salt to just having to do extra cleaning from all the snow we had, definitely bumped those numbers up. In closing, overall, I'm very encouraged by the district's financial position as we enter the final month of fiscal year 26. Since last month's report, the district has improved from a $387,000 variance to approximately $49K, largely due to the receipt of the second excess cost grant payment and continued monitoring of expenditures and encumbrances. During June, our office will continue its final review of all open purchase orders. We do that daily, and encumbrances to ensure obligations are accurate and any excess balances are released back to the budget. Based on our current projections and the ongoing year-end review process, I remain optimistic that the district will close this fiscal year at or very near budget. I actually feel very confident about that. And my next report will hopefully show how much we're in the plus. And that's it. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Sure, thank you. Do any board members have a question for Ms. Schuba?
Just a comment. Sure. Just a great job that you've done with this. Being an officer now, I've really seen how overall your team has been in going through this, and you know, I think that's something to be proud of there, how low that number has gotten there, especially there in the deal, because things do fluctuate outside of your control, so good job, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to item G, public participation. In accordance with policy number 9050, participants must state their name and address for the record and limit comments to 2 minutes. The board encourages speakers to refrain from making defamatory remarks about staff members or individuals associated with the Watertown Public Schools. Please note that questions or issues raised during public comment are not typically addressed during the meeting. However, a member of the board or administration will follow up or respond as appropriate. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak?
I don't think my word won't be on that word probably. Should I use this?
Yes. So turn it on, please.
I don't know how to turn it on, Kareem. There we go. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Tom Clare, I'm at 2 Town Line Highway. Kareem heard me speak at the last town council meeting where I was asking for student volunteers to help participate in reading the Declaration of Independence. Lisa knows about this. At our 250th celebration on the 4th of July. And Kareem said, come to this meeting and make the same plea, and so here I am. The idea is, and I'm hoping that it floats, we've got a couple of high school students who have agreed to participate, and a couple who have stepped forward and then stepped back and said, oh, I don't know, the young ladies seem to be a little nervier than the guys. The guys are all like, thanks, but no thanks. Anyways, if you know or have a student at home who would like to participate in reciting, in, you know, not the entire thing, a passage here, a passage there, the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July. It'll start around 11:15 at the town celebration. Please let me know, or Juliana Guerrera, who is the woman heading up along with Michael. What's Michael's? Michael and Gannon, the two of them are with Park and Rec and heading this up. But you can get a hold of Juliana or me. I've given Kareem my email address, so you can, at home or my NYU address, either one works. And you probably would be just as well to go to Juliana. She CCs me on everything that we've done so far together on this project. I'd like to close with a thank you to all board members, et cetera, just to be polite, et cetera, and to spell out something that is, I kind of think is, it goes without saying, but probably should be said, and that is that I won't be here in 50 years. The 300th anniversary, I won't be around to listen to this, anybody. But the children who participate now in reciting these lines of the Declaration of Independence very well may be around in 50 years and can look back on this day, on July 4th, and say, you know, what did you do? I helped recite the Declaration of Independence. So please, if you have any children or friends, neighbors who would like to participate, and the offer goes not just for high schoolers, anybody in Swift School, etc. The offer is open. So thank you very much. Okay. And that said, I'm working the polls tomorrow, so I'm going to adios everybody.
Have a good night.
Nice to see you.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Seeing none. Moving on to item H, items of discussion. So it is Town Council / POV Shared Services and Facilities Utilization Committee. Would you like to start with those? Do you want to speak?
You can start.
Okay.
I can just jump in.
Sure. So last week at the Town Council meeting on Monday, there was a committee put together for shared services and facilities utilization. I don't have the exact motion in front of me, but I can definitely get it afterwards for board members. But essentially, it established a committee of 3 board members and 3 town council members to review what we'd like to see studied. We mentioned eventually look at a consultative firm efficiencies in places that we can potentially save money on the budget on our side, on the town side. And I think that it was a good gesture to have 3 board members and 3 town council members for it to be equitable and for us to have equal say on the matter. So discussion tonight is essentially, which 3 members are going to go onto that committee from the Board of Education. As the town council has already chosen their 3 members, and once all 6 members are elected, then we'll start having meetings, and we will report to the town, both on the board side and the town side, what we're going to be investigating and looking at, and the recommendations or any conclusions that come out of that committee. You said anything you like that?
No, I don't think so at this time. I think it's important to say that Mark and I also will be in attendance, but will be non-voting members. But we'll be with the committee along the way as well.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions from the membership? Moving on to pay-to-play fees.
So it's in your packet again. I just made another copy just so that you had it for reference. But where we last left was with a couple of options for pay-to-play. I can't find it. Oh, it's under items of discussion. So just a reminder to the board, what I provided to you is the history of the fees. You can see where they're kind of been all over the place. And then I gave you some area towns that are either in our dirt or close to us in proximity. And I gave you our current amounts and then a couple of options. It certainly doesn't have to be option A or option B. But these were just a couple of options for us for moving forward. So I'm not sure if board members had questions or ideas or thoughts. And then there is later in the agenda, if this is agreeable to the board, this might be an item for adoption a little later in the meeting.
By board members.
For the chair, Mr. Melvin. Yes, thank you, Ms. McAdee, for bringing this up, and you gave us a good outline of what your recommendations were. Recently, I reviewed it thoroughly, had multiple discussions with you. I like that we analyze the other DERGs and schools in our DERG and other schools. I personally like option B. I think it's fair and also has a cap on it per student and also per family, because there are families with more children there, so it does become more of a burden there. I do see the need to do this, as we've stressed, we've fallen behind on these rates. We haven't kept up in 3 years, and I personally like option B.
It's important to note too, if you look at the history of fees, option B is still less expensive than 2006, which was 20 years ago. So just, we need to keep things into a little bit of perspective. So while we never want to raise prices for anything for our families, I think this is just where we are.
Is there any other comments or concerns from the rest of the board? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to discussion of DOE policy 1500, use of school facilities.
I'll help out on this one. So, as we all know, we've spoken to this policy at multiple meetings and spent many hours behind the scenes working on revising this policy. Basically, there's 2 sections to it. The first is going to be the policy itself, which covers a lot of the statutes and the language, and we came up with a clear category structure with good outlines. And then the second part is important, and we just came up with a revision of the fee structure to it. And I would just like to thank publicly all of the stakeholders and community organizations for the sports in town that we have met with. They were great, and they actually gave us some input which caused us to make changes. They were very great points. So one of them, in our final pricing structure that we put forward tonight, which hopefully the board members will agree and vote on, is that we originally had the 4-hour blocks, yes, but it was a second 4-hour block is cumbersome. The reason why we had to do a 4-hour block was due to our custodial contracts, which it just blocks it off and you have to go in 4 hours like that. So instead of going with another second 4-hour block, we just said we'd make it hourly after that. So it would be a savings to our organizations. They're not as much of a burden. And we made that rate just a simple flat fee. I think it was $35. Is that what we?
Yes.
Yeah, $35 for additional hour. And the rates that we revised to, again, these are after reviewing multiple, up to 20 different towns, what they're charging there can be seen in the chart that we put together here, Watertown Public Schools facility usage fees. So Group C is the one that's really going to impact a lot of those that we know in town. It's the auditorium at $200, we have gymnasium, $200, $150 for the grass fields, $300 for the turf, $40 per hour on evening lights, and then the pool is $250. Lifeguard charges may apply, because some organizations have their own lifeguards. And per Luigi's guidance as well, a lot of the money that we're trying to regroup is not to make money and make it profitable for the Board of Ed. It is just to protect our investment in our fields. These are not, your regular run-of-the-mill grass fields anymore. Turf costs a tremendous amount of money to maintain. Unfortunately, it's a wonderful benefit to have here. I know everybody loves to take advantage of our tracks and turfs. So we'd love to have that for our students in our town. Some of the offenders to some of the damage that happens are from out-of-town organizations there. These are the ones where those rates, if you notice in the furthest right column, are really high. Per Luigi's words, he would rather they didn't use our fields as much because they're the ones putting the excessive wear and tear on them and have caused damage. We had a sound system get blown at the auditorium. We've had numerous damages to the turf fields and the track. So it's just a better way, and this is stuff that should have been done in the past, which unfortunately realized that we hadn't been collecting these fees. So we spent a lot of time putting this together. I know Marita's up to the task of staying on top of the collection of the fees and making sure we're going to have everybody doing like residency checks. So there's going to be an additional fee for people with rosters if people don't live in town there as well. And I'm very confident in the document that we put forward tonight.
I just have a few quick comments. We were able to meet mostly with the nonprofit youth groups. That's primarily who we focused on in our meetings. We do have a few more organizations that we will touch base with. It was a timing, I think, thing where it was hard to circle to everybody. And I think the sense of urgency is that this aligns with our new fiscal year, with July 1st. So it really makes sense if we're going to make a change to make it now so it aligns with the fiscal year. I think it's also important to note that there's never going to be a good time to make a shift because our fields are used 12 months a year. So it's always going to impact somebody that may have already signed up. So I think what ultimately ends up happening with this policy, then we'll have conversation about how we reach out to people that have perhaps already booked the fields. And yeah, I think that was the only thing really I wanted to say. And I'll fix the lines on the second to last page. The last page is where the fee chart is. And I don't know why the lines didn't read. But the other just quick comment is that we felt like the lump sum made a little bit more sense than trying to like unpack all of these separate costs. It just seems a little bit more friendly to everybody out there, and that actually was feedback that we got from some of the organizations that we met with, which was great.
Any discussion or questions? No, thank you, Jason, Mindy, Lisa, Luigi, for all your hard work with this. It was something that definitely have to get done to protect our investments and to make sure that these facilities are being well maintained. Thank you. Moving on to completion of the John Trumbull Primary School State Project 1530054 RR.
So this is just, I'm so sorry. I think I'm loud enough, but okay, I apologize. This was just requested of us from our last project manager who oversaw both roof projects and asked, it's made it clear to me because I now need to put in for the final reimbursement amounts with the state, and it's a very cumbersome process that Lisa and I have to go through when we submit all the receipts, all the change orders. It's a task. But anyway, because we're ready to close and put in the final receipts so that the town can get reimbursed for their capital projects, it was said to me that we actually needed to make an official motion tonight, each project individually, to state that they are in fact closed. So we actually need something in writing, and then we need a certified minutes to send with the final receipt. So that was the reason why it was added to the agenda for today.
And that's the same thing for the completion of the Watertown High School.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
Yes, thank you.
any questions on any of that? Thank you.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, I do want to make sure that we make separate motions for each, because I have to submit each as a separate motion. Okay, thank you.
They're separate.
Thank you. Moving on to item I, communication secretary.
None received.
Okay. Moving on to item J, committee reports. Curriculum and instruction, Ms. Hosking.
No report at this time.
Policy and labor, Mr. Malabuti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just spoke to the 1,500 use of school facilities policy that we put forth, and hopefully we'll have an action item and get it into policy this evening, and also the pay to play as well with the fees proceeding forward. And that's it. I just want to thank everybody for the hard work on this. Very glad to be getting that one off the docket.
Thank you so much. Moving on to budget and finance, Ms. Davidson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, at the town council meeting on June 15th, the mill rate was set for the new year to be the same as it was last year with no increase. While the mill rate determines how taxes are levied, it cannot stand alone. The town and the Board of Education must first establish and approve budgets that define the level of services and expenditures to be funded, to establish spending priorities, allocate resources responsibly, and ensure the continued delivery of essential services to residents with the mill rate serving as a mechanism to generate the necessary revenue. With that being said, we still need to have a budget in place, and the referendum for that is tomorrow, June 23rd. I implore every registered voter to come out and vote between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., and voting will take place at the following locations. Voting District 68-1, Watertown High School, 324 French Street, Watertown. Voting District 6802, Judson School, 124 Hamilton Lane, Watertown. Voting District 6803, Swift Middle School, 250 Colonial Street, Oakville. Voting District 6804, Polk School at 437 Buckingham Street in Oakville.
Thank you. Facilities, Ms. Martino's not here. Governance, community engagement, Ms. Lund is also not here. Moving on to item K, a report from the board chair. I don't have too much to say tonight outside of, graduation went great on Friday. We had, cooperative weather this year, which is always welcome. The Swift graduation went well, so did the Watertown High School graduation. It was great to see all of our students have a great time, all of them and their families be very, very excited as they move on to the next chapters of their lives, whether that's the middle school students coming up to the high school, or whether that's our high school students kind of going off into the world, whether that's to be the college, the military, trade school, the workforce. We're very, very proud of them and, for all their hard work. And just to remind everybody to make sure to come out and vote tomorrow for the referendum. Every vote matters. All right, moving on to item L, action items, possible appointment of board member on the town, possible appointment of board members on the town council / BOE shared services and facility utilization committee. Before I have the motion be made, my thought process for the three members that are going to go on to this committee was essentially to have Jason be the Democratic representation on the committee, and then for Mindy and myself to be as well on that committee as well from the Republican side. If someone feels very, very strongly that they want to be on this committee and have the time to do it, I'm willing to hear out that discussion in relation to my spot. Otherwise, I feel that these three would be, I think, the best to go for this committee. So I'm open to hearing board member thoughts or any concerns. Anybody? No? Anybody on there? Any thoughts or comments? No? Okay. Then if there's none, do I have a motion to appoint the three members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Jason Malaguti, Kareem Balika, and Minnie Davidson to the Town Council / Board of Education Shared Services and Facilities Utilization Committee.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to possible adoption of pay to participate athletic fees for the 2026-2027 school year. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve option B as the pay to participate athletic fees for the 26-27 school year.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right. Moving on to second reading and possible adoption of BOE Policy 1500, use of school facilities. Do I have a motion to approve the BOE Policy 1500?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to approve policy number 1500, use of school facilities as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
Motion carries. Moving on to possible action to approve the final invoice and accept the John Trumbull Primary School State Project 153-0054 RR as complete. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the final invoice and accept the John Trumbull Primary School State Project 153-0054 RR as complete.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Alright. Possible action to approve the final invoice and accept the Watertown High School State Project 153-0055 RR as complete. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the final invoice and accept the Watertown High School State Project 153-0055 RR as complete.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item N, future agenda items and board member comments. Does anybody like to add?
Through the chair?
Yes.
Just want to resonate what you said earlier. Get out and vote tomorrow. Everybody, please. Every vote counts. I know it's a challenging time of year when you're on vacation, but this is pivotal for our town. So please get out and vote. I'll be hitting the polls, social media. I'll be not knocking on doors, but sending text messages to many and work through your PTOs. Get out and vote tomorrow.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none. Moving on to item N, executive session and interview Director of Student Services. Do I have a motion to enter executive session?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of an interview for the Director of Student Services. Attending the executive session are Cindy Galen, Karen Hosking, Christine Peressa, Kareem Malika, Jason Malaguti, and Rich McGuire, Acting Superintendent Lisa Feckety, Jennifer Gaelic, the interviewee, and myself, Wendy Davison.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are officially in executive session.